मुझे इस बात की बहुत खुशी है कि हमारा फूड साइंस डिपार्टमेंट बहुत इनोवेटिव काम कर रहा है। इन्होंने एक तो मशरूम कल्टीवेशन की है प्लास्टिक बॉटल्स में। ये एक इनका बिल्कुल इनोवेटिव प्रोजेक्ट था जिसके लिए इन्हें 2019 में मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ होम एंड अर्बन अफेयर्स से एक सिटीज़न लेड इनिशिएटिव का अवार्ड मिला था नेशनल लेवल पे। और इसके अलावा इन्होंने जो मशरूम कल्टीवेशन है उसके ऊपर ट्रेनिंग के लिए कैंप भी लगाया है। और इसके अलावा ये बिस्किट्स और इस तरह की चीज़ें, मफ़िन्स, इस तरह की चीज़ें मशरूम्स को ऐड करके बनाते हैं जो कि एक अच्छा हेल्दी ऑप्शन है। और इसके अलावा इन्होंने पूरे दिन के डे लॉन्ग मार्केट्स, एक तरह के डे लॉन्ग बाज़ार इन्होंने लगाए हैं। और इसमें आप देखिए कि दिवाली को इन्होंने एक डे लॉन्ग बाज़ार लगाया था, उसमें भी इन्होंने अपने फूड प्रोडक्ट्स को डिस्प्ले किया था। इसी तरह एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप डे के ऊपर भी इन्होंने एक डे लॉन्ग बाज़ार लगाया था। 15 सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप्स हैं हमारे कॉलेज में बच्चों के, और इन ग्रुप्स को फूड साइंस डिपार्टमेंट ने प्रमोट किया है। और ये बच्चे ना सिर्फ हेल्दी फूड ऑप्शंस को डेवलप करते हैं जिससे कि अच्छी हेल्दी ऑप्शंस मिलती हैं, और दूसरा एक इम्पॉर्टेंट जो इसकी इम्प्लीकेशन है वो ये है कि इनको एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप भी डेवलप करने का मौका मिलता है जिससे ये अपने स्टार्टअप शुरू कर सकते हैं। इंटरनेशनल डे ऑफ मिलेट्स के उपलक्ष्य में फिर इन्होंने इन सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप्स ने इन बच्चों ने ही डे लॉन्ग बाज़ार लगाया है जिसमें इन्होंने रागी, बाजरा और दूसरे मिलेट से बनी हुई बहुत अच्छी रेसिपीज़, जिसमें इन्होंने कुकीज़, मफ़िन्स और उसमें ब्राउनीज़, और उसमें एक अच्छी बात यह है कि ये सारी चीज़ें इन्होंने हेल्दी ऑप्शन से, इवन मीठा भी जो डाला है उसमें इन्होंने जैगरी का या शक्कर का प्रयोग किया है। तो इस तरह से बहुत सारी चीज़ें इन बच्चों ने बनाई हैं और मुझे आशा है कि आने वाले टाइम में ये लोग बहुत अच्छा उद्यमिता का काम करेंगे और साथ ही ये अपने स्टार्टअप भी शुरू कर पाएंगे। मैं इस कार्यक्रम के लिए सबसे ज़्यादा बधाई देना चाहती हूँ अपने फूड साइंस डिपार्टमेंट को, जिसमें डॉक्टर वंदना शर्मा और उनकी टीम में डॉक्टर संदीप हैं, डॉक्टर कीर्ति सिंगला हैं, डॉक्टर गुरप्रीत हैं और डॉक्टर दीपिका हैं। इन सभी ने मिलकर बहुत अच्छा काम किया है और मैं आशा करती हूँ कि आने वाले समय में भी ये इसी तरह से काम करते रहेंगे। इनका एक इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर है, उसमें भी ये मशरूम्स को फर्दर अब पायलट स्केल पे बना रहे हैं और होपफुली ये बहुत जल्दी इसको कमर्शियल स्केल पर भी डेवलप करेंगे। जय हिंद, जय भारत।
We, the students of Meherchand Mahajan DAV College for Women, Chandigarh, Department of Food Science, will be taking you through a fantastic and unique journey of oyster mushroom cultivation. Oyster mushroom, with its scientific name Pleurotus austriatus and its common name as dhingri, is called as food for the poor and medicine for the rich. Oyster mushrooms are highly nutritious. They are loaded with macronutrients, micronutrients, fiber, vitamin, minerals and lots of protein. They also contain a natural cholesterol lowering molecule, ergothionein. It is also very helpful for immune system. Now I'll be taking you through the complete stepwise journey of oyster mushroom cultivation. So, the steps include collection of substrate, soaking of substrate followed by drying and packaging, autoclaving of bags. The next step is spawning and maintenance, and finally the harvesting of oyster mushrooms.
The first step is collection of substrates. We use 3 kinds of waste as a substrate. First is agro waste, which is a byproduct of stubble burning. Then we have coffee husk, which is dried and it is a byproduct of coffee processing industry. And then we have dry leaves, which is a green waste. The next step is soaking of substrates. As you can see, we have soaked our substrates in clean distilled water for 24 hours, and then the next step is drying.
We take the soaked substrate and remove all the excess water in it and spread it on the newspaper uniformly and let it dry.
After drying the substrate for 2 days, we check whether the substrate is ready or not to be packed. The thumb rule is by pressing it against our 2 hands and check if there is no water dripping out of it. Then the substrate is packed into autoclavable, biodegradable LDPE bags.
The packed bags are placed in the autoclave at 121 degrees Celsius for 1.5 hours. After autoclaving, the bags are ready for the next step.
The autoclave substrate is packed in waste plastic bottles. Before the packaging of the substrate in the bottles are disinfected with the solution of 6% sodium hypochlorite and phenols. The bottles are soaked in this solution and they are kept overnight. The next day, the bottles are rinsed with the help of distilled water and they are ready for the next process known as spawning.
So now we come on to our next step of mushroom cultivation, which is spawning. Before going to the spawning process, I would like to tell you about what is spawn. So spawn is basically a seed culture in which we use wheat grains and the mycelium of the mushroom grows on it. We procured our spawns initially from DMR Solon, and now we have our own in-house spawns.
Now we start with the most crucial step of oyster mushroom cultivation, and that is spawning. But before telling you about what is spawning and how it is done, I would like to tell you that the area where we are doing spawning should be completely disinfected. We should always wear gloves, and besides wearing gloves, we should again disinfect our hands with a disinfectant. The area has to be cleaned with a disinfectant, so we can use cotton for doing that, soaked in a disinfectant. As you can see here, I am cleaning the area where we are about to start the spawning process. So the plastic bottle will be first cut into 2 halves. We'll take the first half and we will take our substrate. The substrate will be taken and it will be layered into the half of the bottle. We'll be using these 3 fingers of our hand to give it a press. This press is very essential in order to remove any air gaps because that is not optimal for the growth of the mushroom seeds. We'll take the spawn and layer the spawn at the sides. So this is referred to as layer spawning. Again, we'll take the substrate and put another layer of 1.5 inch and again do the same practice of pressing it as hard as possible. This has to be airtight. Again, we'll add our seeds, that is our spawn, in a layered fashion, and this is referred to as layer spawning. In this way, the entire bottle is packed with the substrate and the spawn. It has to be compact. As you can see here, it's quite compact. It will be secured with a tape, and in this way, the bottle is complete, ready for incubation. In addition to bottles, we also do bag filling, especially if we are talking of pilot scale cultivation. The bags give you a good amount of yield. So in the bags, we take LDPE, biodegradable plastic bags, and we start doing the same process of layering. So the first layer is put into the bag evenly, as you can see, and it is spread evenly and again pressed with your hand to form a thickness which is uniform at all sides. Again, the spawn is spread at the sides in a layered manner, and the bag is again layered with the second layer of substrate. So as you can see here, layer by layer, we have the complete bag which is now filled. One precaution here I would like to tell you, that while you are securing your bag after the layering is complete, you have to press with both your hands so that all the air comes out, and then you tie the knot with a rubber band. Your bag has to be very tight, just like your bottles, with no air gaps in between. So the bag is ready for the next step, that is incubation.
After spawning, the packed bags and bottles are kept in the rack. The first stage is spawn run stage. In this stage, the mycelium colonizes the substrate and the bag becomes white. The spawn run stage is of 15 days. Two precautions have to be taken. The first is there is no direct sprinkling on the bag. The sprinkling has to be done on the sponge. And the second is the temperature and humidity has to be maintained. The temperature remains 20 to 25 degrees Celsius and the humidity remains 80 to 85%. The next stage is pinning and the final harvesting stage. As you can see, this bag has completed its spawn run stage and the pins and the birds has emerged. After some days, these birds grow in size. These bags require direct sprinkling, and direct sprinkling is done on the pins. Now the mushrooms are completely grown and ready for harvest. These mushrooms are harvested by twisting their stalk. The mushrooms are weighed and the yield is recorded. Then the mushrooms are packaged and ready for distribution.